Hello friends, Heidi here from Rain Country. God is good all the time. And today we're going to be talking a bit about milk kefir and how you can work with the grains and a few things that you can use milk kefir for. So let's go ahead and get started. Now what I have here are my milk kefir grains in milk, and they've been sitting in the fridge for a while because I've been so busy I haven't had time to do much with them, but I really need to strain them out and get another batch of milk kefir going. And these are the ones that I just recently purchased from Posy Mom through Amazon. They are the best milk kefir grains I've ever bought. This is the third time I've bought milk kefir grains, and then I always seem to kind of forget about them and then, lose them after a while, or, I just kind of give up on them because I get, it's just one of those things to keep up on. And this time I'm planning on keeping these going for a while. But these have been the healthiest batch I've ever had. And I mean, just right away, within a few hours of getting them, I had thick milk kefir going, and it was crazy. But anyway, what you can do with it once you have them in your milk is you can store them in your fridge, and they'll last for a long time. You can freeze them if you need to save them for a longer period of time than that. But anyway, let's get started, and I'll show you what you do. Now, when you first get your grains, they're just going to be in a little baggie or a little container. These ones came in a little tiny baggie, and they're going to be in milk. And they should be pretty fresh and nice and lively. I mean, I'm pretty sure the milk kefir grains I got was a bigger batch than what it even said. I think it was, I didn't weigh it out, but I'm pretty sure there was more there. Now, there's several ways you can do this. Typically, you're told to strain them out, which is what I'm going to do next, and then you want to put them in milk right away, a small batch of milk, let them sit, and then strain that out and toss it. Now, I've never done that, and I've never seen the point for that, especially with this, because it works really good. Now, the only point I see in doing that is if you're not sure of the milk that was used in making those kefir grains and you're very particular about it. These can be used for goat's milk or cow's milk. Now, what I would like to do is try using them in like a coconut milk. I've read that you can do stuff like that, use them in nut milk, but you can't continually use them in a nut milk. You'll have to occasionally take them back to your regular dairy milk, because that is what the kefir grains thrive on the most. When you're straining them out, I like to use a nylon strainer over metal. Now, I do have these nice stainless steel ones. Both my nylon ones and my stainless steel came in packs of 3 that I got from Amazon. I'll link to both below. But when it comes to anything fermented, I always like to play it on the safest side and go with nylon. Well, it's not really safest because you're still dealing with plastic. But I remember years ago when I first started getting into kimchi making that you were never supposed to allow any metal to touch your ferments. But I've also heard since that stainless steel is safe. However, I just to play it safe, that I don't inhibit or kill any of the good bacteria and yeasts that are in my scobies, in my ferments. I try to stick with something that is glass, wooden, or even plastic if I have to, like in this case. So milk kefir is a little bit more frustrating to separate the grains out, especially when you've let it sit for a while, than your water kefir. In fact, you might want to even try using a strainer that's a little bit bigger. But I can see right there, these right here are the grains. Okay, so I'm going to try to zoom in a little closer right here so you can see what these look like. But you'll be able to see that it's almost got a clearness, if you were to get all that milk off there, to it. You can see the difference in the color and the way it appears than just a ball of curdled milk. So it'll be very different. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop those into a fresh, clean jar right here. And again, because this is sat for a while, it's a little thicker than it normally would be. However, it's still not that bad. You just kind of got to, I find it best to pick through with my bare hands because I can feel the grains. I know what they're supposed to feel like. And they're just, almost rubbery. And you can eat those too. They're really good for you. But if you're really trying to multiply your grains because you want to give them away, you want to be able to make lots and lots of kefir, milk kefir or kefir, then you know, you might want to make sure you get as many, you know, these are still pretty new. They've already almost doubled since I've got them. But they've increased in size, even though I haven't done much with them yet. So I wouldn't say doubled yet, but they've already increased in amount. And that's what they'll do, is they'll continue increasing. Now what you can do with this, you can either, since this is thick like this, and I've separated this out, this isn't always necessarily the case. If you can get your milk kefir grains out of your milk without having to separate them, then, you know, typically that's going to be done the very next day. And then you'll just have a nice thick fermented milk. But again, because this sat for so long, it's already separated. I've got whey and then I've got curds basically. So I'm going to put this back in here in this other little jar. And I'm going to go ahead and mix the whey right back into this. Okay. And it's not going to stay that way since it's already separated. Whereas your milk kefir after a day, it should stay, you shouldn't have any separation of whey from the curds. It should stay nice, just a nice thick, kind of like buttermilk. But anyway, you can see I'm using a bamboo spoon here. This one's actually a little smaller. These ones I got on Amazon. I'll go ahead and link to these below. These ones I got at a health food store in the town. I like them both. These ones are nicer because they're narrower for smaller areas like this. But this is actually still pretty smooth considering it's already had some separation. And I'll be drinking that later today. I'll probably drink it as is, but if you want, add a little natural stevia. Make sure you go with the natural or other kind of sweetener that you really like. Maybe even a little bit of vanilla, depending on what kind of flavor you're looking for, and just drink it down. See, I'm only making really small batches right now because I've got some yogurt to work through, and I just don't go through this fast enough because I'm the only one that uses it. But with more salads to be made, because we've got lettuces and all kinds of goodies coming in, I do want to make sure that I start making bigger batches real soon because I'm going to be using it to make the ranch dressing. One thing I really like about milk kefir is you can use it in replace of buttermilk or even yogurt when making things like ranch dressing and anything else that would require something like that. If you let it thicken up enough, you can even use it as a sour cream replacement, just like you would with yogurt. So now the next thing I want to do with this, now this is plenty enough grains here. I could probably ferment a whole half gallon of milk at a time if I want. But again, because I'm just trying to work in small batches to keep it alive and just kind of consume it as I go for the time being, I'm just going to stick with a small amount. But even when I do ferment in bigger batches, I always go with a quart size, not a half gallon. I never go bigger than a quart at a time. In fact, for a while there, I had several quarts going in the refrigerator. And the cool thing about that is that once it's fermented, the way you like it, stick it in the fridge. It'll keep for months in there just like that because it's fermented, it's active, it's lively. Just don't let it go for too long because eventually the bacteria and the yeast in there can die because once they use up all the sugars, they eat through all the sugars that are in the milk, then they're going to starve and then they're going to die. And then your kefir can possibly still go bad. But it does last for a very long time. But I would still recommend working through it and making your batches size-wise according to your needs and how much you think you're going to use it. So now I'm just going to add some whole milk. Try to go with whole milk. It's always going to be the best and is organic. And if you can get grass-fed or raw, that's going to be the best of all. But I'm just going to go ahead and add that to that. And I'm not even going to fill it up all the way for as little as I'm using this. And that'll be enough. I can set it on my counter. Well, let me go ahead and top it off because what I'm going to do is I'm going to let this ferment, and then tomorrow I'm going to strain it out right away, and I'm going to do a short little video of showing what it should look like before it separates. And I'm going to put that here so you can see how it looks when it pours and all that kind of stuff. But I keep forgetting to shoot the video when it's ready, so I'm hoping I'll remember to do that so I can get that added in here. So I figured if I at least get this started like this, I'll remember to do the rest of it tomorrow. Okay, so then what you decide to do with your milk kefir is entirely up to you. I already mentioned you can flavor it, you can sweeten it if you want. You can use it in making your own ranch dressing if you're interested in how I do that. I'll go ahead and link to that video right up here that I did a year, or maybe even as much as 2 years ago. And I can't remember if I used milk kefir in that particular recipe or if I used yogurt, but I've done it both ways. I've done either, it just depends on what I have on hand. If I have milk kefir, I'll use that because that one actually makes the best ranch dressing, because it has this, it's very tangy. It's much more tangy than yogurt, especially the longer you let it sit. And it even has a bit of a fizz, you'll notice, to it. It gets fizzy like a water kefir would, or even your natural soda that you make out of the fermentation starter that I have videos on. So that's just one way you can do it. You can drink it as is. You can add it to smoothies if you're big into doing like fruit smoothies or vegetable smoothies. I find I like the water kefir better in some ways. It's easier to strain out and all that kind of stuff. But I find the milk kefir tends to have, from what I've read, it has more health benefits than your water kefir. I know I'm pronouncing it wrong. It's kefir, but whatever. I always say kefir because that's what's just kind of ingrained in my brain. Anyway, it does have more health benefits than the water. And so if you're not dairy free, this is a way to go. But even if you're possibly dairy free because you have issues with dairy, maybe fermenting your dairy is going to be one way that you can eat it. So, or get dairy into your diet if you want to do that. But you know, it's just all going to depend on what your dietary needs are. Some people have to be completely casein free and all that. I understand that. So anyway, but if you're not dairy free, this is a way to go. And again, I still haven't experimented yet with the nut milk, but I'll be doing that soon, and I'll be doing a video on that once I get around to doing that to see how well it works. But again, if you do try it on your own, be sure to, like I would say, every other batch. Do a batch, you know, do like a small batch with milk, just dairy milk, and then use your grains to make a batch of nut milk, then put them back into some dairy milk. You can do a smaller amount than this, but keep in mind these grains are going to continue to grow as they keep feeding on the different sugars in the milk. They're going to grow and they're going to get bigger, they're going to reproduce, and then you'll want to either give them away or maybe even try to sell them yourself. Other options that you can do with your milk kefir is to make a cheese out of. Now, one way you can do this is once you have the original batch made, then take your grains out, because it's easier to get them out right away, you know, after 24 hours. It only takes 24 hours of sitting in your milk like this on the counter for it to thicken up and get that tangy milk kefir flavor to them. The longer it sits, the more fizzy it's going to get. I've had this from these grains get fizzy in 24 hours. Sometimes you may need to leave it sitting longer, another day, for it to get that fizziness. But if you right away, you take those grains out after 24 hours, because that's going to be the easiest time to do it, and be able to find the grains is much easier than the way I just did it. Then put the lid back on and put it back on your counter and let it sit for up to 3 days, and it will get very, very thick, like yogurt thick, like thick Greek yogurt thick. And then at that point you can strain it and turn it into a cheese, a milk kefir cheese. And that's another option. Just keep in mind it's going to be much more tangy than like a yogurt cheese or the farmer's cheese that you make with using vinegar and whole milk. So that's just some things you want to consider. I would try, if you're going to do it and you've never done it, try a small amount first to see what you think about the flavor. I'm personally not crazy about the milk kefir cheese, so I've tried it. It was actually, I didn't know people were doing that. I just had let the milk kefir years ago when I was first doing it sit for too long and forgot about it, and then I thought, oh, I wonder if I can turn this into cheese, and that's what I did. And you know, it's good. It's just a little more tangier. When it comes to cheese, I like a more mild flavor in my cheese. So it's just going to be entirely up to you. But anyway, there's just a couple of suggestions, and don't forget to check out my ranch dressing video. Now, what I would like from you is those of you who have already been doing things with milk kefir, go ahead and share with us below some of the different things that you like to do with it. Do you drink it straight? Do you like to flavor it? Do you add it to fruit smoothies? What other kind of things do you use it in? For me, I'll be also, I just thought of this, using it in, well, anything that I would use buttermilk in, and that would be like adding to biscuits. If you like buttermilk biscuits, then use this in replace of regular milk for a more buttermilk type biscuits. The same applies to making cornbread. Anything that, any kind of bread that you normally add buttermilk to, use your milk kefir in replacement of that. And so it's just it's something that I can keep on hand for any of that kind of stuff, because typically when we do like a hillbilly style beans and cornbread, buttermilk is the way we like to go, and I usually never have buttermilk on hand. But kefir, as long as I have it going, that I have on hand and I can use it, and it just makes the breads much more fluffy and flavorful, and it's really good stuff. So anyway, go again, share with us below how you like to do that, and watch down the road for more updates on me using the milk kefir. I'll probably, if some people throw out some good ideas that I've never tried, I may do some videos on that and share that with you all and see how it works for me. But I'll also be doing more videos showing me use it in the way I normally would. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Check out the link below to find the milk kefir grains. I recommend these ones more than any I've tried so far. Well, it's only the third ones I've tried, but they've been great. Unless you know someone close to you that's already doing milk kefir that's willing just to give the grains away. Because if there's someone you know that's doing it, they probably have some to give away. Or you might be able to buy for a little less money because you don't have to pay shipping and all that. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video and that you learned something new. Thanks for watching. Take care and God bless.